where it's like I am going to yes and essentially anything you say to me, no matter what you say to me, literally no matter what you say to me. It's just the way that my mind works. It's the way that I was created. I don't know why I'm this way, but no matter what you say to me, I'm going to yes and it, and I'm going to find a way to try to make it work, especially if we're on camera and I'm doing this. Like, this is the time to do that. And I feel like, if we're talking about creativity, we're talking about like building people up and making the best version of somebody, which is what you should be aiming to do at all times in my mind, is like helping people get to the best version of themselves. If you can do that, is like to encourage their ideas and their thought processes and all that. And like, that's the opportunity you have when you talk with people. So I suppose when you say like, Joe Rogan, like, oh, you didn't want to talk about this, so I'll cut this out if you want. But when you say that, I feel like Joe Rogan does that though. I feel like Joe Rogan does that same thing that I would do, where because I try to warn people. I try to say, like, I would talk to the person that you probably hate, that you disagree with. I would probably talk to that person. But anyway, that's not your point?
No, the point no, I understand what you are saying.
Yeah.
And there's pieces of what I said that really resonated and sparked something in you, and I really appreciate that passion for the sake of conversation.
Yeah.
But the point I was driving at was the similarities between the two of you, and how, he's the longest running successful podcaster, and as far as people in our, I know you're younger than me, but indie people who are just at the grind, at that level, you're the closest to that stylistic interview where you're able to not only agree with people on things that you don't understand or know, but you have the humility and dignity to admit when you don't know something, and then you find a way to connect that with the person that you're interviewing,
like when
with
earlier,
something that
when I said I was a fool, like earlier when I said I was a fool.
Yeah, and it made me laugh, and it was so funny because it was so like honest, and you weren't like trying to put me on, or
I hate when people do that.
That's why I wanted to come back and talk with you again, because no matter what, that's what makes you funny.
Yeah,
is that you're just honest to a point where it's like we have no reason to judge you because now we both have our hats on.
Yeah, I was going to go for a different hat, but this is the closest hat I have.
This is a good one.
Mountain Dew works.
Today's episode brought to you by Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew and SpongeBob.
Yeah, do the do.
But anyway, yeah, be honest. It's honesty, and I think be real. Yeah. Like, I even think that applies to art and a lot of things, and I just think that that's what people, like, the point that you're getting at, I think that you're really onto something. And I think that, honestly, I don't think people realize how like, there's a reason that there's that comparison, that like I would be like a close to a Rogan in that way, because maybe it's because I've just listened to that and absorbed it, because honestly I listen to more podcasts than I listen to music. It could be that. I think because people have asked me like, have I listened to radio? But I've never really listened to radio. It's always just been podcasts. But even that, I actually think goes beyond that. I think like Joe Rogan does the podcast the way he does because that's the way he is. And I think I'm just the same type of person. Like, I think what he does is that's how he talks with people. He just really talks with people that way. And he just learned, it would be nice if I could put this on a camera and make this a thing. And so I often have this existential thing where it's like, I wonder if I either got that from listening to this at some point, because maybe I did, maybe subconsciously it just got into my mind. Because I think it's that same exact rhythm of like, there's a certain way that you do this type of thing, where if you're trying to bring people in and you want other people to share themselves, then I think what you have to do is have kind of a hands-off approach. You have to have just enough input, and you have to have humility, like you said, and you have to, if you don't know the topic, like you said, you have to find a way to relate it to yourself and like bring it back. And that's easier said than done. Like, it's so much easier for me to tell you to do that than it is to actually in practice do those things.
Well, you have to want to learn.
And I think most people are always kind of being a little fake. I think that's what is what drives people insane. It's what makes people believe in the Matrix. People are being fake all the time.
It always comes back to the Matrix with you.
Because it is the Matrix, you know? Because, like, I think, like, for if you were somebody who's already going a little crazy and you start to realize this, it'll just drive you insane. Because I think people are naturally kind of, that's the ruse. That's the thing. I think we're all role playing. I think that we're all putting something on at all times. And I think, like, the best thing you can do is lead by example and just trust your intuition and be yourself. And people are naturally attracted to that because they want to do that too. It's really that simple, I think.
Yeah, well put.
But I think, you know, sometimes you got to rein it in. All right. Sometimes being yourself. Sometimes you could be a little too yourself. All right. I want to have some caveats to this. All right. There's layers. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I feel like I see it all the time. You know, it actually bums me out if I'm like interviewing somebody, talking with somebody, and you feel that happen where it's like, oh, I can see that they aren't giving me all of them right now.
Exactly.
They don't want to,
where that wall is up, or
yeah. And there's some people I can think of where, like, I had that intuition about them right away, and I've been right. It's like, oh, they're always like that. It's always like a you can feel the put on almost like it would work on a regular audience, but it don't work on me.
Yeah,
type of thing.
because you see a lot of people, and you have long form conversations with a lot of different kinds of people.
And people do this in all kinds of ways. Like, people are fake, for lack of a better word, in all kinds of ways,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And I don't even think people do it for evil reasons or nefarious reasons. People do it out of insecurity a lot of the time.
Yeah,
a lot of
absolutely.
It's they just want to appear to be good enough. That's really it.
We can't assume malice for ignorance.
But the trick is, you are already good enough. That's the trick. Is like, you should just go into things thinking that. And
how do we get people to know that, though?
By leading by example.
Yeah.
By just being, because I think that's what attracts people to it. Like, that whole thing where it's like, why do people want to engage with that and interact with that? Because you want to be yourself around people who are being themselves. It makes you do the same thing.
Right.
I just think, and like, that's why, like, I think when I first found out about improv, it just blew my mind. Because, like, there's the books around here somewhere, Improv, like, it's the book that breaks it down with Del Close and Truth and Comedy.
Truth and Comedy.
Yeah, but it's just because the book says it. It's super short, and it just lays it out in this sense of, like, you can apply these things to life. You can apply this idea of yes-handing and this idea of just going with this flow of this moment and improving and caring about the scene more than you care about yourself, right? Because you're serving a greater scene than yourself.
Absolutely.
Like, all these things are just principles that you can use. And I think that's all the same thing, right? Like, when you think about things that way, you don't be so fake. You just trust your intuition and you just go with it. But, you know,
I think
you'll never fix it, though. You'll never fix everybody.
Well, no. I mean, nor is it anybody's responsibility to do so.
Yeah, but, like,
isn't that a lot of pressure to put on yourself?
To fix everybody.
To fix everybody and fix everything?
Yeah, I
think everybody should take an improv class at least once.
Yeah, or at least
everybody, even if they're not an actor, if they don't want to get on stage, they should still take an improv class at least once. It doesn't have to be at some big, high, reputable thing. As long as the instructor has a lot of enthusiasm, I think everybody should take at least one improv class.
I would agree with that. Yeah, because I think, like, improv, again, it's the foundations. It's the foundational principle, and it's also the play aspect of it. Like, I think I really have been thinking about this a lot lately. Like, I think one of the reasons that people like me and engage with me and all this, like the same exact thing, is because really I'm just a child. Like, really, what I am is a little kid. And I know that about myself. I don't think other people realize that about me, but I think if they did, it would make a lot more sense. Like, I'm really like I'm a 10-year-old.
They do, though, right away. Yeah. That's one of those things that you wear, like, not even on your sleeve.
Oh, I mean, I'm wearing a SpongeBob t-shirt.
Like, that's palatable when they meet you. Yeah. And that's one of those things that you can't control.
You know, like, I don't know if you ever saw the comedian Dan Soder. Do you know anything about him? But he calls himself
Dan
like
Soder,
the Golden Retriever.
He does all the Macho Man impressions, and he does Will Sasso and stuff.
And he's doing a tour right now, Golden Retriever, a comedy tour. But I think it's the same thing, like Golden Retriever energy type thing, like almost like a dog.
I love him too.
An excited dog, like a dog that's happy to see you. Like, that's the type of thing. I mean, like, I just feel like I just feel like it's people grow up and they get older and they get used to life, and they think of life as this thing that you just move through and you just wake up and you just get it over with. And they have kids too. And they instill that in their kids even. That they don't really instill magic in their kids or creativity in their kids. They don't instill wonder in their kids because they're past all that. They've already given up on that stuff. They're just making it through life now. And like I've seen this in friends of mine, like people that I grew up with. I'm like, oh, you don't look at that the same way that I look at that. Like you don't have that magic in you. You don't even see it.
Did your parents instill that in you?
That's exactly what that made me think about. This whole thought process made me think like, I wonder if it's like the way I grew up. And like the day that I had this thought, the first time I tried to call my mom, I was like, oh, I should call my mom and thank her. Mm-hmm. Literally, I thought that. Because I think it just has to be, inevitably. Like just I think that my parents were actually kind of passive in the ways that they they didn't like over engage with me, and I think it helps with that real thing. Like they were never, oh, good job, oh, look at this thing you did, oh, that's amazing. They probably like gave me a little attention, like, oh, that's cool, but they never like, oh, hey, you like monster trucks, let's take you to the monster truck show, let's do this, let's do that, and let's make your life about monster trucks for the next 3 months.
So they were encouraging, but they weren't super active.
Yeah, and I actually think that's good. Like I think it's like I think it's because I don't think there's any proper way to parent at all.
Yeah. Are your folks still together?
No, they divorced like right away. So like when I was 3, I think my parents divorced. So it's actually hard for me to even imagine
when they were together.
Yeah. Yeah. But technically they were when I was first born. And actually,
well, they had to be together when you were born.
Proud of this. I was the only kid in my family born out of love. The only one out of all my half brothers, all my half sisters, because I have 3. I have 1 full sister, 2 half sisters, 2 half brothers. Okay, but all the other ones born out of not so great relationships, not so great conditions. Me, on the other hand, born out of love. Just got to put that out there.
Now, are you the only one who is kind of eccentric and outgoing and gregarious?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And no one in my family even makes art.
That can't be a coincidence.
So they make.
Not to say that the other folks have, everybody's got their own strengths.
So I should walk that back a little bit.
They're all living in mansions right now.
I should walk that back a little bit. My older sister, she's a model, and also that she painted that right there, so she can paint.
Ooh.
So I shouldn't say they don't make art, but I should say that they don't like put themselves out to the world in the way that like they've never had that. Like my sister, even that's a model, she's not like, oh, let me now do like a whole vlog where it's just me being a model. And like, dude, I've been like this since I was like 10 years old. Mm-hmm. Like I've just been making
forever.
Yeah.
Just like talking to yourself, probably doing voices, looking in the mirror.
I have a memory.
Combing your hair different ways.
I was in front of the Christmas tree and I was looking inside of the reflection in like one of the ornaments, right? And I think I like snapped at it and I said like, we'll be right back, something like that. And I remember
that's the buzz.
My sister would like she laughed at me. She like went ha 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 and she laughed at me. And I just remember I remember that. I was probably 7. So yes, you're spot on,
dude. And that's usually the age when you discover it and you hold on to it.
But you hold on to it. And that's my whole point is you hold on to it. And I think that people don't do that. And I think that's the other thing that people connect with and they see in other people. They see it in creativity in general. I think creativity is childlike. I think it's just that alone, just being creative
fully
and exploring ideas. I think like, because the opposite of that is closing yourself off and just getting used to patterns. And that's not creative. Mm-hmm. So I think creativity just unlocks that in people,
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just think of the best art that I've ever seen and just why it lights me up and how I can just go back to it and just what I love about it. It makes me think about things like that, because that's how could you deny those things? Like, how could you deny magic? Mm-hmm. How could you say it's not real if I know what it is? No one can confirm it for me. Yeah. I just know what it is.
Yeah.
But other people don't, I guess.
And you want to share that feeling. And when you see somebody in need of that, you want to try to explain to them that that's the outlet, that's the answer.
And I think people they forget about it, or they don't even know that exists, or they don't know.
Kind of like the Peter Pan story. It's kind of like they grew up and they forgot how to create, or they forgot how to play.
Yeah.
And all the senses, all ways of art, any medium, it's all play. And when people get frustrated with it is when they lose that goal to just have fun, to just express themselves. Because you can always come back and make something better.
Yeah. And with that, being real thing too, it's like, I think when you're willing to play is when you're willing to be the most real. Like when you're not willing to try to entertain, and you're not trying to do the dance for the audience.
Not taking yourself seriously.
Yeah. And that's actually why I don't like doing more than 2 people. So I like to just do one-on-one. Because there's just something that happens as soon as
it becomes an audience. There's somebody there listening to what the 2 of you are talking about.
Or
you can't
even,
talk to both.
Yeah. Because,
or they're trying to entertain you.
Yeah. I was actually talking about like 3 people on the podcast, but even somebody else in the room does that. It does do that. And then also, the other thing is, what was I going to say? I forgot. I lost it.
It'll come back to you.
It'll come back to me. Yeah. But I mean, the one-on-one thing is truly essential. It really is. Like, it is. Oh my God, it is so important. It's like it's like chaos. As soon as you introduce, it's just too many cooks in the kitchen. There's no control. It becomes something else. You can't curate that unless it's like, you just know it's going to work, like you're comfortable with all parties, like it's people you're close with. It's just something that's sort of impossible is 3 people. It just becomes, and then 4, and then 5, and then 6. Oh, well, now it's just give up. Like, it's out of your control at this point, Mm-hmm. That's why I've always, and I guess, because I mean, I think, I was going to say doing them live. That's the other thing. If you can't, when you're naturally in front of an audience, like there's context in which you can do a live podcast, but like something like this does not work. It would not work live.
Conversational.
No way to do it.
Would no.
Because people,
because you're playing to the back of the theater. You know what I mean? If you're doing, or I mean, I'd imagine if it's live, it's in a fucking theater or some kind of larger space than this room.
Yeah.
You playing to the back of that room, where right now we're just playing to back and forth just this amount of space.
And we're not concerned with anything else. Like, I actually think like there's a level of hypnotism that's involved in everything. Like slow, low-grade hypnotism, with just a little bit in all things, right? So I can't pull it off every time, but I think that is sort of something that's happening where like you're kind of getting sucked into my podcast or my world as you're here, and you don't even realize it. You're just kind of getting sucked into it. And by the time the camera's on, by every time everything's going on, you're like, oh, okay, I guess this is how it just happens. And that's part of it, and you can't do that when you add all these other elements. It
changes your rhythm.
Yeah, like that's actually why I'm just a bad team player. I've learned this about myself. I trust me. I know me. I can do me. But as soon as I start adding in other people, it's like, oh, God damn it, because they just don't make the choices that I would make. And this is why I'm probably better off as a rapper than a filmmaker or anything else.
Jerry Seinfeld is like that. And he made a lot of money.
I'd be a good actor.
With that work ethic.
I'd be an actor this way. Actors make solid. They make firm choices. Okay. Yeah. Jerry Seinfeld did that.
Yeah, he was very, very secluded. He didn't like socializing with people. He didn't.
It's ironic that he ended up doing.
Consider himself one of the other comics. Like he didn't want to hang with the comics.
Well, it's ironic he ended up doing an interview show.
Yeah.
Right?
With comics.
With comics, specifically,
but you know what? That's different. After you had the most successful sitcom in television history, and you've made all the money. I'm talking about when he was a nobody, and he went out in New York, and he was doing open mics, and he was getting his first 10 minutes down before he even did the Tonight Show. When he was where we're at, we're just grinding. He wasn't the kind of guy that hung around and partied afterwards or hung around and socialized afterwards.
I don't think you could even do that now. Like, I don't even think that's possible now.
Yeah,
with social media.
And I am literally living proof that it doesn't work when you do that, because that's how I am. I admitted it to you in the last conversation we had. Any open mic that I've done, any kind of loose show where it's like a house show or something, if it's not somebody that I know or people that I'm not comfortable with, I bang out of there right away. And it has not served me in many ways in the past, and so that's something that I've changed this second time around. Now that I feel reborn, and I've reinvented myself as an artist a little bit.
So what mics are you going to then?
I currently do not do stand up anymore.
Okay.
I haven't improvised in a while, but I've been talking with a couple, mutual friends of ours who are improvisers, and I'm trying to just to get up for the fun of it. I'm not trying to attack it professionally so much anymore.
Stevo.
Stevo, yeah.
I knew it.
Him and I we've been rehearsing, and we've been trying to figure out our rhythm, and it's weird because we both kind of have this same attitude.
You know what's so funny is I observed that in the two of you. I can't remember which one of you guys I talked to first, but I remember just thinking, those guys are like the same wavelength. Like, they're just the same. I guess that means
is such a compliment.
I don't even know what it is about the two of you. And I'm glad you just confirmed it for me, telling me this, like that you guys mesh together.
Yeah.
Because there's just something about the two of you that's like, it's almost like that real instinct, that just trusting your gut instinct.
This instant brotherhood.
Yeah.
Do you want to? Can I tell you the story of the first night that I met Stevo?
Go for it. Yeah.
And then I'd love to hear how you met him, because he is a Chicago character. Everybody knows him. He seems to be, because he does comedy and teaching and music, he's in all these different communities, and they all either fucking hate him or they love him to death. And I happen to be one of the latter. I love him to death. I love him, and there's this brotherhood between us the moment that we met. I met him through my cousin, actually, and Stevo was at a party, and he looked up at me, and my cousin kept saying, "Hey, you got to meet my friend Steve. I know you're going to get along with him. But he does all that same shit you do." That's what he said. He goes, "He does all the same shit you do." So one night, I'm at the party, and and all of a sudden he goes, "Hey, Stevo's on his way. Stevo's on his way." And I was so excited. And he walks in, and he has a leather jacket on, and he comes in with like 2 or 3 girls. And one of them is from Ireland, and the other 2 are these close friends of his, and he walks in the leather jacket, and he's smoking a cigarette, and I was like, holy fuck. That's what I wish people thought of me when I walked in the room, And, but that's not for me to decide. What people think of me is not up for me to decide. And I don't care what they think, and God bless them for thinking that way. And he walked right up to me, and we hugged right away. He gave me a hug, and we had like this moment where we were both like, holy shit,
yeah,
my brother, oh man. And spitting back, we like had to get inventory on each other's resumes. It was like, all right, what'd you do? You do this, you do this, you do this. Okay. You're like, all right, now we could talk. It's like that was like almost 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until maybe 2 years ago that we reconnected, and I went and I sat in on some of his classes because I wanted to see how he taught, and I wanted to see, just kind of how he played. It kind of helped me get a better idea of who he was as an artist, because I only knew him as a buddy. And once we started playing together, and he did a show at the Bug House recently, and I went out and I saw him, and I was like, it was cool to see how he played in rehearsal and then how he played with other people. And he and I both have the same feeling where we're very we need to establish a large amount of trust with somebody if either of us are going to perform improv with anyone, because it's something that we hold really, it's spiritual to both of us. And so he looks at it the same way I do. And that's why I think there's a lot of potential in whatever ends up developing of it. But to what degree, I'm not sure, but we're definitely rehearsing, and I hope that, I always tell him, like, I'm kicking you in the ass now. I've been too nice to you. Like, I fell in love with you when I met you, and I've been kind to you the whole time. I was like, now I'm kicking you in the ass. We got to get up on stage. Because I saw him up there, and he belongs up there.
Yeah.
And he's always like, I don't know. I think I was, and I'm like, fuck you. We're going up there, and it's like, you need less people. He was up there with like 7 guys, 7 players, I mean.
Yeah.
And that's atrocious to watch. Even the best.
Why?
4 people max.
But why?
Because everybody's fighting for a chance to get in the middle.
Okay.
When there's 7, when there's 3 or 4, you have this perfect opportunity to have 2 people in a scene and 1 or 2 people to heighten twice. So you create this perfect scene, and it always starts with 2 people. It's simpler. And because an audience, their attention spans are so shitty, you need to have them focus on one thing first to establish something really grounded. And then you could only have so many people that actually have the same comedy spirit or actually have the chemical connection to make a group really good and cohesive.
Right.
And that's just my personal opinion. I mean, I'm sure there's, groups of 7, 8, 9, 10 that are great. Usually it gets to be too much. There's too many people, and then you could tell that, like, out of that, there's only about 4 people that you really gave a fuck about watching the whole time.
Yeah.
Do you not? Do you like watching a bigger group?
No, you're probably right. I mean, it probably even applies to, like, music groups a lot of the time. Like, it's probably better to, like, the less
simplicity.
Yeah. And I think that it's interesting point that even if you all have that cohesion, it's still too much. Like, even if you're all on that same exact level, it's still too much. Maybe even worse, because maybe if you have 6 people, you need 2 people that think way outside the box, that are different. That'll be like these are like the variety characters. Like, maybe you need 3 people.
Well, and it depends on the skill sets amongst the people.
Amongst them, yeah. Because it's so much more complicated than just this or that, right? Yeah. There's a million layers going on here.
That's an opinion coming from someone who's kind of a stage hog, and who, who's there to be on stage and to be noticed and to take a step back when it's time to.
Yeah.
And I think that's also, performers like Steve have a strong presence that almost consumes the whole stage.
Yeah.
And when we talked about it, right now the whole thing is figuring out, how do you put 2 personalities on stage like that and have them complement each other? And right now we kind of refer to it as a black and white, where he is the devil that raises hell, and then that that was always kind of my role in any of the groups I was in, and I'm kind of like trying to readjust my stage persona or my character that I would play on stage in a comedy duo to complement him. And that's kind of what we're working out right now, is this black and white, this light and shadow, because that's what, as similar as we are physically and characteristically, there's a lot of differences in the way we think and the way we react to things. He is 100% real, and he's so unapologetic, and it's like, I look at him and I'm like, oh man, I was you, and I still am you, and there's things that I changed, and just being around an older version of me is so comforting, and I'm able to empathize with everything he feels and he goes through. He's just one of the best guys in Chicago, especially when it comes to comedy or music, rock and roll or heavy metal. He always wants to give to somebody, and he always wants to give opportunities, and I can't think of. I'm so lucky to not only try working with him creatively, but to be a really close friend and a family. He came to I got married in March, and sure as shit, I said, hey, Stevo, come on by at 7 o'clock. We're having hot dogs at the end of the night, and we're gonna be dancing, and me and the boys are gonna play some songs. Come and drink and smoke and have a couple hot dogs at the end of the night. And sure as shit, 7 o'clock, he was on the button. He showed up dressed to the nines in a suit. He had his hair in a ponytail. He was there with his girl, and I got to meet her for the first time. And so it's just like he's always been there in small ways where I was like, he ain't gonna come. He's big. He's doing that thing, or he's too busy for me. And he made time for me in really small ways. So I would do anything for that guy. I love him to pieces. So hopefully you see something.
Grenade for you.
That's our song, baby. That's our song.
But you won't do the same. Because he's the devil. He's the bad one.
Right.
You're the angel.
Mm-hmm.
You're the good one.
Right. Which is
evil.
weird because yeah. And he is that.
Yeah.
To ask him to play anything else is, and of course he does characters, but it's like, I'm talking about when two improvisers first walk out on stage.
Yeah. And
who are the caricatures that they're playing.
Right.
And like, he is the, just that is him.
Yeah.
And I'd say that I'm that on shrooms.
So you're sort of almost like, because it's funny. As soon as you see something like this, you never unsee it. But it's like, the natural comedy duo thing, right? And I forget where it starts, because I remember seeing Drake from Drake and Josh say that he was Abbott and Costello. That's where it starts.
Yeah. And that's a huge.
I think they're the OGs. I think that he was saying that he was so inspired by them. And it's the OG of the straight man and the what's the other one? Fool, I guess you'd say, the straight man and the idiot.
Yeah.
Where one of them is playing, the regular guy, the one that you relate to. You're watching kind of like I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. This guy from The Office, Jim from The Office, the guy that looks at the camera. He's straight man, the perfect straight man, right? Mm-hmm. The most straight man of all straight men. And you got him, and then you got the other guy who the straight man is reacting off of. Why Jim looks at the camera, who is Michael Scott, the crazy one that's going crazy. This one's doing all the wacky stuff. Now, obviously, they're not a comedy duo, but think any two-person group. And Drake and Josh, Drake's the crazy one doing all the crazy stuff, getting with the girls. Josh is the one that's all buttoned up. Oh my gosh, Drake, can't believe you're doing this. Mm-hmm. You guys kind of naturally are already doing it in the sense that you'd be the regular buttoned up one, bringing it all back together. He's the one just bringing chaos to everything. And
that's what brought us together in the first, back to reconnecting, and because we saw each other that one night, and then for 15 years in passing through text message or something, we were like, hey, we should get together. Hey, we should get together for like 10, 15 years, man. And then finally, I was like, I don't even know what really cracked the spine of the camel on this one, because just all of a sudden we were together, and after that one night, it was just nonstop, and the connection and the hug that he gave me at the end of the night, and that and the handshake that we had, it was like so special. It's like a brotherhood is the only way I can describe it, and that old soul of the Abbott and Costello, and having having that patience to step back and be like, okay, we know that we both can do this, or we could split it up this way, but he does look at it like a religion the same way I do. I look at comedy as a religion. I live by it. I would die by it. I would, and I've told every member of my family that, and they know that. They know that it is the cure-all. There's nothing better than making somebody laugh.
Yeah.
And our roots are the same. Our soul came from the same place, and it wasn't from this time period. I don't know where he came from, and I sure as shit don't have enough time to figure that out. So I just chalk it up to look at what he is in the present. He's such a beautiful human, and I'm trying to figure out where my spirit came from. And both of them had some kind of action back in the vaudeville days. They had to have, because it just feels that way when I'm with them.
Yeah. What do you think it is that makes you think in such broad terms about stage performance? Because I don't think a lot of people think about it that way. I think a lot of people just go on stage and they just do their thing, and they're not thinking so deeply about it. What makes you think about it that way?
Well, I've been acting since I was 7 years old. I got my roots in musical theater. I did musical theater from 4th grade all the way through senior year of high school, and I was in dozens of plays. Eventually, I got leads in the musicals, and so like for the first 10-ish years that I was doing it, I was doing musical theater, which is using the whole stage, and you're learning how to sing, dance, and act. And then once I wanted to get better parts, I joined show choir, which was singing and dancing. So I was already known as a comic. I was already known as a comedic actor and a character actor, but I had to get that training in singing and dancing in order to master those other pieces to it that you may not use. You may not be a singer, or you may not be a dancer. I happen to hold on to both of those things. But the elements, just like we were saying in improv, the elements to singing and dancing, how those skills apply to musical theater, all of those skills apply to performance in general. Make you a strong performer, whether if you're a single performer performing stand-up comedy or beat poetry, for Christ's sakes. You literally, all of those elements of being bigger than life, entering the stage with momentum and a presence, knowing how to dial it in where you're connecting with the person all the way in the back row, but you're not making it overdone for the person in the front row. You want to make it where they feel like they could reach out and touch you. And then after a certain point, that's when I started to get in trouble, because I didn't want to memorize my lines. I wanted to fuck around. I was like, we have this beautiful stage and we have all this stuff and we're in these costumes. It's like, I want to play. And so that's when I once I graduated high school and I got to college, I wanted to study improv. And I went to Columbia for 2 years, and then I dropped out because I learned a lot about film producing and television production, and I was like, I think this is good. Like I learned what I came here to learn, and I'm leaving. And my parents were pissed. They were like, "What about your degree? What about the paperwork?" And I was like, "None of that matters. Like, this is gonna be 6 times what this cost is. Like, let's pay this off slowly, this small amount, and hopefully eventually I'm making money back where this will be worth your while." And then that's when I went to Second City and I auditioned for the conservatory. Took me 3 auditions to get in. But I did, and I studied improv comedy then all through my 20s. And I took everything that I learned from musical theater and I applied that to improv comedy, because I was improvising in an inappropriate place. In a big set with people and that put a lot of time and rehearsal into what they're doing, and a lot of coordination and the lights.
That's what I always think about Robin Williams. Whenever I watch like the level of improvisation he got away with, I'm always thinking like nobody got away with what he got away with. Like they animated Genie around him.
Yeah, they made it for him.
Nobody gets away with that, you know. But it's because like he's very few people earn it. Yeah, and because I mean, you can improvise, but can you improvise when all of this stuff is set up just for this moment, and with every moment counts? And some people will improvise in that moment when they really shouldn't. Like you have to have really good sensibility. Like your sensibilities have to be so incredible. Like you actually have to be the one and only.
Absolutely.
You actually have to be him.
But I take that to the set when I'm filming now.
Yeah.
And the reason why
I think in a director, that's actually a really good quality. A filmmaker. 100%. Yeah.
And that's why I like to only direct the pieces that I'm writing for right now. Like, I'm not saying that I'm afraid of that work. I would love to be able to get to that point. But for right now, I'm most comfortable directing work that I write, because then I have the authority to be able to say, hey, fuck these lines. We're going to do 2 or 3 takes of how it's written, and then we're going to do 9 takes of something completely different.
I was just watching this video of Seth Rogen talking about Superbad and how it was made, and he was saying how like that movie would just never get made today. Like the way that they greenlit the movie, the way that the studios worked back then, like that movie was greenlit before they even had any of the actors, before they had anything. They were just said them they could make the movie and gave them money, and they had nothing. Whereas nowadays, there's so much tape that needs.
He had a lot of support behind. Judd Apatow supported that flick, though.
Seth Rogen's making the case that any filmmaker now, anybody, even with that type of support, you can't just make that movie. Like that's not the type of art that's going to get made now. Now, if you wanted to make Superbad, which by the way, won't get made now. No movie like that's going to get that kind of budget, and it's not going to have those types of actors because it's so much red tape. It's going to be which actors can sell this movie? Is this movie even have any sale value?
Can you clarify what you mean by, and I mean this in a good way for the sake of conversation.
I mean, it's basically the argument he was making, right?
What's that?
Well, I'm just making the argument he was making, because what the argument Seth Rogen is making. Well, what is your question?
Well, so you say that kind of movie, and I don't see it as any.
Meaning a movie where it's not a pre-existing IP, it's not a big star. Like there's no promise in that kind of movie. There's no promise that this movie's going to sell in a way that any other movie has sold, even if Judd Apatow has already made a good movie for them and they've proven that they can do that. They're just not going to hand you this money if they don't have all this stuff attached to it. You're not going to sell them this script without stars attached, without all this stuff attached. You're just not going to get them to give you the money that you want them to give you. And that's why all this stuff ends up on streaming and things like this. I think that's what he's saying, is the economy of filmmaking now is just fundamentally different in what gets made by these studios and what goes to theaters and what doesn't. It's just not the world that it was when Superbad came out.
And granted, it was. I guess
I would assume he would know just because he's so in that world, but I don't know.
I guess I forget because, really that was the first time you saw Emma Stone, right? Or
I think
at least
so.
It was the first time I did.
Even Jonah Hill, I think that was
he had a small, but I think that's where Seth Rogen and Jonah Hill and all them, they all had this kind of
brotherhood.
It started with Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah, and Judd Apatow and
Judd Apatow and all that crew of actors. And then he was really good to those guys when he was a filmmaker, and he made movies for almost all those guys.
Yep. I think, what would be the first? 40-Year-Old Virgin would be the first one after that big. Is 40-Year-Old Virgin?
I mean, 40-Year-Old Virgin was what I thought sent him to rockstar status.
Yeah. Did he do? Because it's one with Will Ferrell and what's that movie? Was that Judd Apatow?
He produced almost all the Ferrell movies. And when him and Adam McKay were teaming up, it was like. There was a point in the mid-2000s where they were the kings of cinema, comedic cinema, where it was like Zack and Mary make a porno. I mean, I know that was Clerks and Jay and Silent Bob. What's that? Kevin Smith. I know he was the one that made that. But Apatow did like Ricky Bobby. He produced Anchorman. He produced the Walk. Walk Hard with the Dewey Cox story, which I think is probably the most underrated, unseen film of the mid-2000s.
I've seen people say it's the best biopic of all time.
It is the best biopic, and I'm so glad that Dewey Cox is out there, and that I hope he comes back and makes new music, so we appreciate that you exist, Dewey Cox. But I think that... have you seen the movie?
It's been so long. When I saw it when I was little, I'll never forget because that was one of the first movies I ever saw as a kid that had full frontal male nudity.
Same here.
Yeah,
that was the first cinematic wang that I saw.
And I actually saw it in my living room with my dad on like HBO when he had that. So it was just one of those things, like just boom, right there. You know?
I highly recommend that you go back and watch it because you'll notice it was made at a time when The Office was on.
Yeah. And
when it was just during that period where movies were starting to fade out and that era of that golden age of television came, like when it was like The Office was on and Breaking Bad and The Wire and like all of that stuff, the Game of Thrones. It was like TV dominated over the movies for a while. And in Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story.
It was like 2004, I think.
Yeah, or like 6 or 7. It's got to be because I was in high school by that point, so it had to have been like 2006, 2007, and every single scene now has somebody who is a giant comedic star, but at the time they were just a television actor. So almost the entire cast of The Office, just short of Steve Carell, is in it. They have Jack White play Elvis, and he does this like over the top thing, just like. And John C. Reilly helped write original music for the soundtrack. So all of it is. They created this fake personality, and they didn't like Spinal Tap it where they hit it over the head like, oh, this is like a real guy, and then now John C. Reilly went out as John C. Reilly to play those songs that he wrote. He's a very sweet guy, and he doesn't like to do interviews actually. John C. Reilly. He said that it makes him afraid that people are gonna get too into his process or know who he actually is, and. Everything he does resonates with me. He did a biopic about Laurel and Hardy, a comedy team, and so he's very much similar to what we were talking about earlier. He has a huge spiritual connection where it's almost religious to that old comedy routine of the straight man and the tramp. John C. Reilly. So that's something that I really respect about his work. And that's why that movie in particular, not only because of the music element, and I love old music, but because the way he approaches his acting and the way he approaches his career is so, there's no rules. He's doing what makes him happy, and he's always good in whatever it is he's doing.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the best comedic acting tends to be when you're not exactly being comedic, right? Like when you're playing the character authentically. And if I think about it, that's probably what he's always done. Like John C. Reilly, whenever he's done a comedy role, he really just authentically plays the character. Like there's not any leaning into like a Will Ferrell, for example. Will Ferrell definitely leans into the bit. He's being Will Ferrell all the time.
Outrageous, over the top. My high school theater director hated Will Ferrell.
I could actually understand why people wouldn't like him. Like, I love Will Ferrell, but he's the type of guy where he is so over the top that if you were to tell me you don't like that, okay, yeah, I could totally get that because he's so over the top.
But what makes him funny isn't even how over the top he's being.
No.
Because his whole shtick is like, he'll be naked with a thong on. And he'll be sitting there in the chair doing an interview on The Tonight Show or something. Or he'll be in some outfit that's very revealing and his body is unflattering and he comes out confidently and acts as if he's wearing a suit.
Yeah.
What he mastered was the confident, arrogant fool who is unaware of how stupid he is.
Yeah.
He mastered
Same thing with Steve Carell.
Yeah.
Steve Carell is actually,
absolutely.
I think, the absolute best at that.
Yeah, you're referring to like Michael Scott and like
or any,
The
also
Office.
in Anchorman. He does it too in Anchorman.
He's actually, yes.
I think actually Anchorman's where he did it first.
Yeah.
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 Because there's a video you can find on YouTube of his audition for Anchorman, and he's just like, they're all laughing. They couldn't even not laugh.
Right away.
Yeah.
It's like you could tell, and those kind of auditions like make the hair on my neck stand up. I'm like, man, how do you get one of those where you walk in and it's it already, and they're just like, and McKay's going, yeah, do another one, say whatever the hell you want, and then he eats the fucking mayonnaise, the spoonful or whatever, the gag reel to that is unbelievable because they just show every take
he eats the
of
food
what
off
they
the floor, right?
yeah, and then he takes a spoon into a thing of mayonnaise and he's like, and it's like, oh, and you could see in the second one the star power that he had after The Office, because they pretty much put him as like almost second rate in the second one, which was horrible, if I'm gonna say, my opinion, my humble opinion.
What with The Office?
Second Anchorman movie.
Oh yeah,
which shouldn't have been made.
Oh dude, that second Anchorman movie, I couldn't even finish it. I thought it was that bad.
I'm so glad that you feel that way, so that you weren't like, oh man, come on.
No.
Even though that's not how you talk, nor how I view you.
I'm more of a hater than people realize. I don't like a lot of things. And that new Anchorman movie, I thought was trash.
Yeah.
I hated it.
It was just like a cash grab.
Yeah.
The producers threw a lot of money at it. They spent it in dumb ways, and they just kind of abandoned the script and the original idea of everything.
It just struck me as, yeah, exactly, a movie that didn't have to exist, and a lot of it is probably what you just said, just corporate nonsense, where it's like maybe there was a good idea at some point, and it just fell apart. Because a lot of the movie is just meandering, and that's why I had to stop watching it. I'm like, this doesn't even feel like what's the point of, especially if you're going to bring everybody back and you're going to do it the right way, what's the point of making a spiritual sequel that doesn't even have the tone of the original, and it's just in any way? What's the point?
And I felt that way going into the first one. Like when I saw the trailers and stuff, I was not interested to go see it.
Yeah.
I was in high school at the time, and the buddies I was hanging out with, we were all we all wanted something to go do, and my one buddy was like, I really, really want to go see that. My brother saw it. He was 4 years older than us, same age as my brother, and he was like, they saw it, and they said it was really funny, and we got to go see it. So we went, and I went reluctantly, and I sat there, and once it started, we laughed from the second. As you have 14, 15-year-old boys or whatever we were. We laughed from the second it started until the second it ended.
Yeah.
And from that day forward, we had to go see every Will Ferrell movie that came out, the day that it came out.
Yeah.
And but that kind of fizzled out for me after, like, Talladega Nights, I thought was on par with that. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember what he did after that. It kind of trickled out for me. Step Brothers was very good. Mm-hmm. But after that, like, there was a point where he even stepped away from doing those kinds of movies. Because Adam McKay, the guy that directed a lot of his movies, also stepped away from comedy, trying to be like the next Tarantino or the next Scorsese. And I'm like, meh.
How do you feel about those movies? It's like Don't Look Up is one of them.
Don't Look Up, Vice, and what's the
Big
one?
Short.
The Big Short.
Yeah.
So here is.
I can tell you what I think.
I want to know what you think, because my answer is very, very complex.
Okay.
And so I'd love to hear a very articulate thought before you hear my guttural rambling.
Okay, yeah, because I'll try to keep it short.
And we'll keep those are the three that we'll talk about. Okay.
Because I actually didn't even see Vice. I didn't even see that. So I saw The Big Short. But I already know what Vice is. I already know what Vice is because I saw The Big Short, which I actually think was the best out of. I know it's going to be the best out of three, and I did not like Don't Look Up. And this is the thing: is if you're going to make a political movie, you can't be so obvious about what you think about the topic, and you can't be so on the nose with the metaphor,
with your agenda.
And
also, it was right in the middle of when everything was like at its maybe that's a movie that will age really well.
No,
in a way where like generations younger than us are gonna be like, wow, this was what was happening. But
it's a global warming movie.
I didn't like it. I didn't like Don't Look Up.
Because the thing is, like, I don't like that it's being a global warming movie while being a metaphor about a meteor, and it's also obviously one-sided. It's like...
But I found that global warming was also a metaphor.
Okay, so you could look at it that way, and I actually think that's an interesting way to look at it. But even then, it's just too on the nose for me. Like... The worst thing that art can do, in my mind, is tell you what to think, and the whole time that's what it's doing.
100%, and that's what made it almost unbearable to watch.
Because it could have been funny. Like, it's actually a funny concept of having, like, we actually do live in this comedic world where people are so stupid that I do believe if there was a meteor coming down, we wouldn't react. But you just go with that. Like, that's literally all you need. Just the hilarity of that. I think an 80s comedy would have nailed that. So a concept like that, any 80s comedy director would have understood that assignment. They would have got it done. But nowadays, we don't even get how to make that movie anymore.
But especially in movies, comedies are taking themselves too
serious.
It's way too serious.
Yeah. And look how. And the other thing I was going to say, because this is what I was going to say. The original, my one sentence assessment was going to be, I think when he makes movies like that, he comes across as a person who thinks he's smarter than he really is.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I can't stand when movies are like that.
And what he's doing. So this is my take on it, because hey, I absolutely, despite knowing that hearing firsthand that Adam McKay is not the greatest guy to work with sometimes, I respect the fact that he's a writer, director, producer. And somebody like that is going to have a vision, and you're not always going to agree with that person. If they're in the position where it's their product and their story, your job as an actor is to go there and to do what they tell you to do, according to whatever the contract. As long as he's not being abusive, as long as he's not like, or being a Harvey Weinstein, as long as it's within the realms of creativity, and it's like, hey, he was a little this or a little that. It's like, well, he didn't get where he was beaten off, so he's doing something right.
Yeah.
What I'm noticing. So my favorite one was Vice.
Oh, you actually liked that the most, huh?
I did like that the most.
Okay. Christian Bale.
The acting in it was so unbelievable that that's what kept me engaged the whole time.
Okay. Maybe I should. So would you even recommend I go back and check it out? It's that good? Like, it's worth
I think it's good for one watch.
Okay.
Because you'll get everything you need out of it. Just the way Christian Bale and Sam and honestly, if you don't want to waste your time entirely, if you watch that one scene between Sam Rockwell and Christian Bale when they're sitting outside, the full scene when Bush is inviting Cheney to be his vice president and telling him why, the way they both completely disappear as actors is just like it's what I love and what sucks about movies, because you have to sit through 2.5 fucking hours of it, and that one scene is good enough to stand out in acting and cinema history because of the acting.
Yeah.
Now what I'll say is how the way it was shot. It was well done, and it was fast paced, but as known as history, you're talking about one of the head writers from SNL, who was Will Ferrell's right-hand man, like the guy in the writer's room with him, the guy that directed and produced for him, trying to step away from comedy, and now he's trying to do something to a degree where he wants to win an Academy Award or an Oscar or some kind of high-end award. I see him taking the elements of satire in one way, but in another way, he's taking himself too seriously. And instead of taking some risks and showing things that don't look like things that we're already seeing, like you could see that he saw Wolf of Wall Street, or that he saw like the biggest box office hits the 3 years before that.
Yeah.
And that and I have that same complaint with The Big Short, and the acting in that doesn't hold me. So I don't even like The Big Short. So I was like, I think Jonah Hill was in Don't Look Up.
Yeah, he was.
The cast in that held my attention to get through it.
Yeah.
And then I was like...
that was the one with the biggest cast for sure.
Yeah, and that's the only reason why I even watched it. Because the second I saw the trailer and I knew what the story was about, I saw Meryl Streep, a blonde woman playing a Republican. I was like, this is just like the most patronizing thing to literally any audience, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, because he was literally talking about the Trump administration.
Yeah.
It was a carbon copy of the Trump administration, and it's like, hey, if you're going to do this, you could, like, why don't you approach this as, like, the Anchorman movies?
Yeah.
And then it would have been a comedy with all of this substance and heart and pulse and meaning, where when you're creating a drama and they're like, hey, this is serious, and these are real people, and the money, and the this.
You know,
and
like you could even do it where it's like an Animal House type villain, right? Where it's like literally, it's just a big authority figure who's just big and stupid and goofy and stupid. Like they're serious, like they're treated like an actual villain when you watch the movie. But like, what is it? Let's put them in super secret, not detention, but super secret probation.
Yeah.
They're already on probation. We'll put them on super secret probation. Like have that type of person be the president, not this political statement where like it's an allegory for Trump.
It doesn't have so
I mean, you see the end of The Boys? Do you know anything about how this show went? That whole show with The Boys and all this? You follow that show at all?
The show The Boys?
Yeah, that show.
No.
Okay, so I mean that's an interesting one because it was very popular. Season 1 started out pretty solid. I mean, it's sort of gore porny, but the concept is really strong where it's like it's superheroes, but they're controlled by the government and they're kind of being used as like it's superheroes if Superman was a bad guy, essentially taking that and putting that in a realistic world where Superman's just doing fucked up shit. And what do you do in that world? And what happens when the superheroes are doing fucked up shit? Like I think at the end of the first episode, the guy who runs super fast, like this world's version of the Flash, he runs through our main character's girlfriend. I think it's maybe the beginning of the first episode. So he runs through her and she just dies. And she's like a war casualty of this superhero because he was trying to get to the crime on time. So he just ran through her. Because, you know, that's what happened if you were the Flash. You might run through somebody sometimes every now and then. You run so fast, you run through somebody.
You run through him and you kill him?
Yeah, because he's running so fast. But anyway,
does that happen with the Flash? Does he accidentally kill people, or is that in this in this twisted
that's the
version?
concept of this world.
Okay,
is that these
so
superheroes?
That's the parody of it. Is
yeah,
that he's in
concept.
such a
it's a good concept where it's like let's take superheroes and put them in these fucked up scenarios because who's done that before? And it was originally a comic, and the comics does that to this extended, like it's just trying to be as fucked up as it can be, right? Like let's have them as superhero orgy. Let's do as crazy as we can go, and so. Anyway, the show, season 1, is that. And the more and more you go on to the show, the more and more you watch the show, and I just think this about shows in general, is a show's not a show until it's either over or until it's had about like 3 or 4 seasons.
Absolutely.
In the sense that it takes shape throughout the timeline of the show.
By the 3rd season is when there is full, you're in the world. You're
exactly.
Like, we've established everything.
And a lot of shows don't pass that test, and this show did not. Because by season 2, season 3... I think people, it's just IP syndrome. I think people fall in love with things. But it's just so clear to me watching something like this. Season 1 was all right. I could see why you'd like it after season 1 and you'd enjoy the show. But the other seasons are not the same thing.
And you're talking about The Boys
The
still?
Boys, yeah.
Okay.
By the time you get to season 3, it's like something else entirely. And the reason is because literally the guy who made it, I want to say his name's David Kripke, but the guy who made it, he's so obsessed with Trump. He has Trump derangement syndrome. He just does, That's what he has, because he has to make his show that had a solid concept that was good. He's got to turn the main character, the Homelander, the best TV villain we've had probably since Walter White. And Walter White's probably the best one since Tony Soprano. We just don't get these. These are rare gems, these things.
Absolutely.
So what did he do with Homelander? He turned him into a Trump allegory. He turned him into a fucking Trump allegory. The whole last season, they're spending it doing this whole thing where it's like, so the comics go the direction where it's like scorched earth. He wants to he's going to succumb to his fantasies. He's going to start fucking killing everybody, take over the Oval Office. Oh my God, Superman's gone crazy. And so all the fans of the show were just hoping, like, yeah, the show's not, I feel like they're all in denial because they'll still act like the show is okay. And I know it's not. But they'll be like, oh, at least the last episode, like hopefully towards the end, it's like the Stranger Things people, at least at the very end, we're going to get a conclusion. We're gonna get they can't not give us a conclusion. And the thing is, even in the promotional material, they were showing things depicting scenes from the comics, literally stills from the comics, but with the actors. So you're thinking, okay, scorched earth, it's gonna be crazy. Instead, you get this kind of low budget, lackluster ending, and also the entire final season. What are we doing with this Homelander character that you could be having this again? He's going crazy. He's going to take over everything. You don't have to make it a Trump thing. Just make it that. Instead, it's, oh, look, he's just like Trump. He wants a statue made out of him. He's pretending he's God. This was the big thing. He thinks he's God. They couldn't let go of that. And I'm not just saying, by the way, that the director of the show cares so much about Trump. No. He says in interviews, if people don't like my show, because they don't like how much I'm talking about Trump in my show, I didn't make my show for them. Don't watch my show. That's what he says when people criticize this.
Honestly, that is his American right.
It's just so frustrating because the show didn't start off as that. That's what's so frustrating is you had such a solid concept and then you turn it into and like by the time, like I'm saying, season 3, season 4, it's just all of this. It's just, oh, look, now we have the MAGA group that's like those MAGA supervillains, and now we have... It's like, why does every piece of media have to do this? Because in the past, you didn't have to do that. You could just make the story.
Do you think that's a distorted perception from the production side where they think that's what's going to sell right now?
I think it's the fact that it's being made in a place where that is the general consensus, and they really think everyone thinks that way. Like, if you have this not closeted part of society, but like, there's a reason that people, like, have you ever seen the comment, like, Holly weird? Like, people say things like that. There's a reason that, like, there's just a disconnect between Hollywood and the general public. It's because...
it's a complete... L.A. is a completely different landscape than any other place in the United States.
Exactly.
And it's even very different from other parts of California.
Yes. And then you add to that all of these cameras and all of this attention, and now you've got a whole different animal. And that's where you get these monsters like a Weinstein or like something like this popping up, is because you have this basically this Wild West scenario, And so I think it's more so that. I think it's just more so that people are unconsciously doing these things. I don't even think it's someone telling them. It's not people in trench coats. It's not this organized thing.
No.
It's just that
it's people being imperfect.
Yeah, it's people being imperfect, and it's people being impressionable. And it's people being... Everybody's part of a group. We're all part of groups, whether we like it or not, whether we admit it or not. We're all part of groups.
It's something that we do non-consciously. It's not consciously.
Yeah, and so with all that being said, I just think it's that. I think it's you have an abnormal amount of attention on a small group of people, and that's why it gets distorted in such a way.
But you know what? But here's the thing: with every shadow, there has to be a light to
I
cast
agree.
it, right?
Yeah.
So right now we're in this point where big production companies and big productions are, putting out crap essentially, and it's rarer and rarer for original stories to come out. But did you see Obsession?
Not yet, but I only hear good things. I hear like great things.
I'll tell you something, man. What it takes to get me out to a theater or a concert is it has to be top shelf. I'm not. My time is more valuable than money to me. If it was, if the movie's good, I don't care if it's $100 a ticket to get in. I'll pay it to go see it. If I'm going out to see it. Luckily, they're only like $15 still or whatever. Where remember, I mean now or maybe it's like $20 because I was like, man, it still stings you a little bit when you go into the theater and they charge you still like a little too much.
Yeah.
That student ID doesn't quite work anymore.
Yeah.
But it got me out to the theater.
Try getting the popcorn on the pop. I mean.
Yeah. Oh, dude. And the cinema experience is unmatched like anything. When you walk in, you smell the popcorn, you see the memorabilia. If the theater's cool enough to know that that's what should be in a movie theater, and you see all the posters, and then things that are coming out that you didn't know were coming out, and you're like, oh man, there's a new Eddie Murphy movie that looks pretty good, and oh, that looks good. And back in the day when you went to the movies, all the posters were filled, and they all had movies that you wanted to go see. Now there's less posters, there's less movies, and most of them are all trying to go after this major or massive audience rather than trying to just get people back into the theaters and telling compelling stories. And I think Obsession did a really good job of telling a very original story, with some tropes that we've seen before, but in a very original way. And the pacing is what I have to give it the most credit for.
Yeah.
You could clearly see that you're watching an indie film. The lighting and the color of everything, it looks the same as anything that anybody who took any film class and knows the basics of three-point lighting and getting good gear and how to set that up. So visually, it's not blowing me out of the water.
Yeah.
To me, indie films lack color, or at the very least, a color palette. The way the clothing needs to match the decoration in the room, the way that when the color is being corrected and adjusted, it's going into this palette to further the story, not just to get a crisper image.
That's what a colorist is for.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
People who study color theory.
Yeah, yeah. And what kind of...
And you'd be amazed how much color theory and film
absolutely.
Are like commingled.
Oh.
I mean, literally The Matrix, that's color theory and film are right there. Why is The Matrix green?
Yeah.
It's a great question to ask.
And it becomes kind of a theme.
Yeah.
And then we couldn't probably... They did such a good job with the production design on that you could probably say, hey, that's Matrix green.
Yeah.
If you were looking through if you went to Home Depot and you were looking for paint and you saw the little shades.
Yeah.
And you were like, I'm looking for Matrix green. Yeah. And then so you could think about it that way.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the most notable ones, right? Where they just did so good.
Yeah.
And it's actually even a fun fact is there's different versions of the movie that aren't green that have come out. There's blue versions where it's just wrong.
Every movie has a different
but I mean
feel
The Matrix
to it, but
I'm surprised it never became one of those Bernstein Bears Mandela effect things. No, The Matrix used to be green. It used to be green because there are different versions where you're watching what the fuck? Why is it the wrong color?
But it helps then for the production designer and
I think it's a testament to the importance of color, right?
Yeah.
That we remember it as green because I think the green represents. I feel like so my senior research paper in high school was on color theory and film. That's actually what I wrote about.
Cool.
Yeah, and I remember that was one of the things that came up, and it was because green is a natural color. You see green when you're in nature, so you see green out. Where do you see green naturally? Because all these things with color theory, basically, it boils down to nature. And where do you see these colors in nature? That's where most of color theory originates because it's about instincts and basic biological instincts. So in that sense, where do you see green? You see it in grass. You see it in trees. It's life. So what is a dull, washed out green? And what is it if you see green where you're not supposed to see green? It's unnatural.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like something imitating life but it's not life.
But
The
that's
Matrix.
and that's where I think it's important for the colorist, the production designer.
You know, orange. Orange is warning. Orange is a warning color. That's one thing when I learned that when I was reading, it blew my mind. Because think about it, when do you see orange
I don't
in
associate
real life?
orange with warning anymore.
You know, one of the examples was American Beauty. Because there's the scene where he's standing outside smoking a cigarette, and the doorway is orange. And it's like significantly orange.
Oh,
like
okay.
it's like striking how orange it is.
Yeah.
And
I guess in that context,
it's just these are the types of things where once you start to think that way, you start to apply it to things, and you realize, oh, that's probably true. Like you want to deny it at first, but then you just start seeing it all over the place. Like, why are stop signs red? You know, because red's a warning color too.
Yes,
red is like fire. Red is bad. Red is always bad.
Right.
Blue is cool. Blue is water.
Red, yellow, orange. Those are all warning signs.
I think that's why they fall into the same category,
Yeah.
because they're all that same type of hue. Whereas blue, now we're in the cool tones. Now it's all sky, blue, water. Like, you know, blue is always. I think blue is my favorite color, and I think that's why blue is a calm, relaxing color.
Lower tones, lower vibrations, sadder emotions.
One thing I think about a lot is like how filmmakers, it used to be a thing to do. Like once color came around, it was still a lot of serious filmmakers still made at least one black and white film, like Scorsese with Raging Bull.
I think that if you love film, that you can't help yourself but to
because color theory, like think about that. I mean, it's a completely different feeling you're evoking from an audience by making a black and white film.
The story is processed completely different.
A recent example is Spider Noir, because that just came out, and the studio can't even trust that people will watch it in black and white. They have to release
black and white
the other
Spider-Man,
version. They released two different versions, but I think it's ridiculous. Everybody felt the same way. Everybody was like, "You didn't have to do this," and a lot of people were complaining in the comment sections I saw, because it was like it automatically streams in color, and on the app it's hard to get it to switch. So a lot of people like felt like they had to watch it in color. It's just bullshit. Just release it. You filmed it to be in black and white.
I don't even want to waste time talking about superheroes, especially that people that they're attempting to try and add some form of artistic value or culture to it, and people are bitching about it.
Yeah.
Release the two different versions, let the cocksuckers watch them, and whoever likes which version, let it be done. I think that anybody...
You hate it that much, huh?
Anybody, yeah, because... And I'll tell you why. Because, like I said, it takes... The only movie... I'm such a big fat American.
Yeah.
Where it's like there's McDonald's bags in my car... And if I'm going out to see a movie, it's got to be for a real fucking reason, because I'm going to spend my hard-earned money on a movie ticket instead of another McDonald's bag in my car. It's got to be real good. So I go and I see, like, I saw the Beetlejuice sequel, which was a huge letdown. Yep. Before that, I'm a big Three Stooges fan. I think I went to the theater to see the Ferrell Brothers Three Stooges remake. Or the reboot that they did of the Three Stooges. And then after that, it was most recently when I went to see Obsession. And my co-creator for Warwick Motion Pictures, Zach Scher, he had seen it with his girlfriend, and he goes, "We have to go see it tonight." He goes, "I'm free tonight." And we had a meeting that night, and it fell through. And then I was like, "Oh, okay, well, let's reschedule the meeting." And we did. He goes, "We got to go to the movie theater. You have to look it up." He goes, "I don't care where. Look it up." And so I looked him up. I was like, "We got a 7:30. He's like, "Oh, that's perfect. I could get there by this time and this time and this time." And him and I, when we get together for business meetings, we have a coffee and a Coke. We go to a diner. We have a coffee and a Coke. And we either read over a script or we talk over our ideas. And so we met up. And we had a coffee and a Coke. We were there about an hour before the movie, and he's telling me all this stuff that he loved about it and things to look out for. And like technically speaking, like oh, wait for the when the camera moves and stuff, because we're working on a new picture, and we're very, very interested in how do you make a feature film with the least amount of money and make it look like $1 million picture. And Obsession looks like an indie film, but didn't sacrifice the story at all. So it had my attention from beginning to end. There was not a moment of it where I was like, why is this happening right now? They followed the Trey Parker, Matt Stone formula that they break down, where this happens, therefore this happens.
And if you're writing a script and that's not what you're saying, like if it's this then that's wrong. That was the whole point they were making. If it's this and this and this, that's wrong. It should be this, therefore this. It's always cause and effect.
But then this happens. Therefore this happens.
It's cause and effect. It's all about the continuity.
And how and it's just coming up with. And Trey and Matt did a really great job at being creative with how to explain those concepts of writing in another way so that younger people will understand. And that's why those guys are so smart, and that's why they have their own little piece of land in the creative landscape that's just of their own, because they're self-sufficient musically, with the actors they're willing to work with. They're writers and directors and producers all on their own. They animate on their own. So it's like those kinds of guys are great examples of people that, fuck the industry and go step away and do your own thing.
You ever see how they went to an award show on acid?
Yeah, and the dresses that the actresses slip my mind at the moment, but they went in the same dresses that these two actresses went in the year before.
I didn't even know that part.
And Trey tells this story on this documentary, and he's like, so we're dropping acid in the limo, and we're laughing our asses off until we start to pull up, and all these people are out there, and we're like, oh, fuck, we shouldn't have done this. We shouldn't have done this. And then when they get out, when they first get out of the limo, you can totally, you're like, they are so unwell. Like, as I would imagine you'd done shrooms or acid or hallucinogen. Yeah. So when that hits you to get out of a limo and to be at this huge event where your ego matters, and your ego is just in this crushed, vulnerable place. Like, how do you even possibly put on the facade that you came here to do? And so it takes them like a little bit of time, and then I've scoured through all of that footage front to back hundreds of times because I find it so fascinating. And now when they bring up the dresses, they were like, always say, everybody looks so great tonight. Don't ever talk about the dresses. So every single time, Entertainment Tonight, oh, and what are you wearing? Everybody just looks so beautiful tonight. And they just stuck to it. And I don't think they won the Academy Award that year anyway.
No, probably not. But I mean, that's the type of thing you can do if you're self-sufficient, though. That's the type of thing you can get away with. Can you pop that door for this guy right here?
Absolutely.
That's actually what he's trying to say with his face. He's saying, let me out of this place. Actually, we can even... You don't have to cut it all the way. You close it all the way. You can leave it a little bit open. Let that cool air.
Ventilation.
Oh, yeah. You feel it already?
Right?
I can feel it by now.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh. I don't know if the people watching don't feel it, but it's 105 degrees outside or whatever it is.
Yes, it's very hot. And if at any point you saw me dabbing my face with a piece of toilet paper... It's because we
took a shower. It's because we took a shower together.
We showered. We did a pre-shower.
It's so hot outside. He showed up and he was a little bit
We did a
unclean.
walk around the block with the dog. We came back in. He offered me a coffee. I said, I'll just take some water. He's like, shower?
How much water?
Yeah. I was like, all right, let's hop in. So we took an ice-cold shower. But then it got sweaty in here, so we're cracking the door.
Yeah.
The point I wanted to make about obsession, though, is that fuck, just like anything, a restaurant, a bar, a store, a movie, a theater, a mom and pop business will always be better than a big corporate conglomerate.
Yeah, but I think often I even feel like people don't, like, they get the lesson that, yeah, you can do it with this small amount of money, and that's inspiring. But I think what people miss out on is you can do it with a small amount of money and a massive amount of talent. Like you have to have
fuck the money. It's all about
talent and know-how and skill.
That is 100% it. Fuck the money.
Yeah.
That's what you need.
And like that's what you should learn from movies like this when they succeed is like no. It's not that you can do it with no money. You know how many people have money and they just fucking blow it and fail? It's not about having money. It's not even about money. Just forget the money entirely. It's about making something that's inspired.
The script was unbelievable. The story was unbelievable. The pacing. And what happened is a group of...
I know it's like one of these films that gets balled into this, like he's a YouTuber, right? He started off on YouTube, the director.
I didn't know anything about him going into the film. And then afterwards, I saw a lot of like memes and stuff talking about him and that he became kind of like the butt of some jokes where he was a young kid and so... I never really read further into him, but I know that he's a young kid.
Yeah,
and
just like the Backrooms director, he's really young too.
And that doesn't make me look at the film any differently.
Right? Yeah. If anything, it's more surprising that the film would be that good.
I'm inspired by it.
Yeah.
I'm inspired by that. That there's filmmakers that are younger than me, and it sounds like he's almost 10 years younger than me, and he has the eye and the attention to detail and the love for filmmaking to put it into the script first and to focus on that and to make sure that everything looks clean rather than getting a budget. And indie filmmakers are going to want to buy all the gizmos and gadgets to make themselves feel like they're on a bigger set now.
Yeah.
And I was on a union set one time in New York. We were shooting an Old Spice commercial. They had this French Olympic gold medalist come in, and he was naked the whole time, or like half naked, and we built a fake shower in like a warehouse.
Okay.
And there's this big light. It's huge. You know, big, like when you think of like an old-fashioned like Hollywood set, like from the 30s, it's like this big light going over the shower. And we're done setting up the shower, and the union guy's plugging in the light, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, wow. And I'm like, I'm on a big set, man. And he looked over at me, and he was like, do you know what this is? I was like, it's a big light. He's like, it's a waste of money. He goes, this is when a client has a lot of money and we want to make them feel like they're something. He goes, we could get this same shot with a light half the size of this, half the price of this. But the client said they wanted this on this budget and they wanted it on this scale. He goes, but don't ever say to yourself that you can't film because you don't have a light this size, because fuck this light. He goes, do you know how heavy it is to carry out of the truck? Do you know when you got 4 extra cables you got to hook up to it? He's like, all the technology that there is now, these LED panels and everything. He said, make your life easier. He's like, that's what people forget. They want to feel important while they're on set.
Yeah.
Fuck that and focus on, that's what he said as far as being on set. And that's what made me think, always focus on story. And those are a lot of the things that I kind of didn't think about when I was making my first few short films. I was focused on physical gags, visual things. What was the audience going to see? And then I was like, as long as the visual gags are enough to keep their attention, the story is kind of secondary because it kind of doesn't matter. Because I grew up watching slapstick. So this story was always secondary.
It's like Three Stooges.
The Three Stooges are again, those are the guys that I pray to. Those are who I think God is. Are all of them. The Stooges, they were before Abbott and Costello.
If they're God, I'd like to imagine that the devil is the Blue Man Group.
Dude, can I get a fist bump for that? Because that is the funniest comparison ever because the similarities between them are that they're the same. They are booked as the same team, but they switch out the performers throughout the history of the show. Yeah. So they literally are very, very
even like the style of comedy, everything about them is so similar when you really think about it.
And that is what makes you good at what you do.
Thank you.
That
was the first thought that
that's like that. It's like it's like you can't plan right, or it's like
that's why I started this podcast, because I'll say
why
stuff
I'm back. If anybody wants to know why I'm back, it was because of that moment there. Being able to sit here and get that out of him is so fun.
It's like you said earlier, like waiting the whole movie for the perfect scene with the great moment with the actors. It's like, you know, you'll sit through 2 hours of Ruse radio just for that one line.
There you go, man.
Oh boy, it's
and
just
there
too
it is.
good. You know, but it's like yeah, I've had moments where I'll say shit like that on the phone with my family, and it's just like dead silence, a dead audience. I'm like, they don't even know the gold I just gave. I just wasted on this phone call. That's how I knew I belong on the radio on this, is because I learned, I just say things. This is why, and I actually think I need to keep it this way. Never do comedy, never fully commit to that. No. I'm already in the spot I need to be.
Well, I think this will give you those opportunities. You know what I mean?
If anything, like one thing I've noticed is I'll have ideas on here. It's like perfect skit ideas. Like, that'd be a good skit. And I never write them down, and I never go back and try to find them. And there's like so many things I've said on here where it's like, just because it's me bullshitting, it'll just be like that. Let's be bullshitting. And I feel like that's where all great ideas really, I mean, truly, if you want my deep opinion.
And I do.
I think it's the power of the word, baby. I think it's, you know, in the beginning, there was the word. And what does that mean? What does it mean when the scripture says something like that? When it says that it all began with the word. I think the word, meaning what we can do with words and how we communicate with one another, is what separates us from animals. It's literally the thing. I mean, you're not any more conscious than a dog or a cat or a monkey. You're not. You hear dog and immediately he's going to come in the room. He's coming in here right now. You're not any more conscious.
You heard us talking about it.
Yeah. You're not any more conscious than any of those things, but you can speak, you know, and because you can speak, your words can do so many things, and it's actually the foundation of everything. As a matter of fact, you can have ideas, and you can have ideas all day, but as soon as you put those ideas into reality
execution
with actions and words, I mean, it doesn't even have to be an action that starts an idea, that snowballs an idea into physical reality. No. It doesn't have to be an action. It can be as simple as a word. Meaning, like, let's say this. You and I are hanging out, and there's a third person with us. And this third person is just annoying.
Not the same vibe that we
Not
are.
the vibe we want. You and I always have a good time, and this third person is just not it. Okay? Now, we could have any approach to this. You and I are on the same page. Now, say I use my word to somehow address this, but not in a negative way, right? Because you could go the easy route, and the easy route is to just say to the person, hey, man, could you just not right now? Could you, like, bring it down? You could just directly address it, but have no grace. But that's not the power of the word, you see. The power of the word is to, like, find a way to somehow meet everybody in the middle.
Have it come from your heart.
Have it come from your heart. And use your intellect, your human intellect that you have, because you have that as a person. We all do. And if you can manage to do that, then come here, Oscar. If you can manage to do that, then you're able to, I feel like, create a situation. Hold on. Come here, Oscar. Come on.
Go ahead, buddy. You got to get comfortable.
Come on. This is why you get kicked out sometimes. Relax.
No, that's all right. He's probably the best co-star, and you get the most comments on him.
Yeah, the problem is that door's open, so he's a wanderer. Right. And I used the trigger word. I said the dog word. But and
the cat's just chilling.
Even that power of the word, dude. Like,
yes,
your dog, the delivery. He's so triggered by the one word. It's literally what you can do. And I think that people undervalue these things. I think it's what changes everything, because like if you
give me just one moment, I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're fine. So I don't think I talked to you about this last time, but my favorite filmmaker now is Andrei Tarkovsky. Have you seen his movies?
No.
None of them. Okay, so he's the best. He's the best of all time. In my mind, he's the greatest of all time. He does with films what I wish to do with art in general, and I've seen like him talk about his theories on filmmaking and all this, and he's probably like the best, I think, entry point, I would say. He has a film called Solaris, which you could look at as like a spiritual successor to something like 2001: A Space Odyssey, where like it's in the 70s, like 1975, somewhere around there. It's right after 2001 came out, and he felt like that was too like clinical. Like, it's an exploration into space outward. An exploration outward is almost an exploration inward. It's like, why are we trying to go into space, and what is that? And that's more what the question was to him. And I think all of his films are so evocative in this way, where it's like, it's almost like poetry, where it's like meant to make you, it's like a painting, and it's truly like a painting. I used to think David Lynch was the best at that, where his films were like a painting. But I actually think Tarkovsky does it better than anyone I've ever seen. And so I just
David Lynch was the loudest about it.
The loudest, yeah.
He was great at turning a director into a character in and of itself. I believe he played this heightened version of himself when he was talking to people.
Yeah.
Or when he was on camera. He wanted people to think that he was weirder. And he was weird, but he wanted to really give that persona off. And why is there not more time? We can't have any time for play. There's no play.
Yeah.
You can't do these functions. It can't function this way. And his hair's all, He's but he was another guy that kind of rewrote the book on how to produce and how to get your movies out there.
Yeah.
John Waters was like that too.
Yeah.
Even Paul Rubens, people don't realize he was he dressed up as Pee Wee Herman and went out to bars before he was doing it at the Groundlings.
Yeah.
And now more than ever, people can get their movies out there, or music, or any of their content, in so many different ways. Not even just where it's like, hey, let's just start a YouTube channel, put things on YouTube. Hard media is coming back so hard, because when the internet goes out, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I know you're a collector. You got books. Did you ever get into vinyl?
Not really, no.
No. Yeah, I bet you
I should,
if you had the space, I know you would.
If I had a vinyl player, just that alone, I would start doing it. Yeah. But
I got an extra one. I'll bring it by the next time.
Dude, seriously.
I like bringing gifts for people, so I definitely will.
I'll use it.
I know you will. That's why I wanted to go to a good home, and I have so many of them.
I really will, because that's the only reason. Like, I just haven't had the wherewithal to actually get one and get started.
And flipping through the vinyls at the thrift store and everything is so cool.
It's real.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which actually brings me up to a gift.
Oh, wait. So I have to finish my point here.
Oh, please.
Because, so with the movie, the thing is, so every single one of Andrei Tarkovsky's movies, he's like a singular filmmaker. He's one of these people who, it's what I aim to be as an artist, like I said before, where it's like, I want to be the type of thing, I'm not trying to be like anything else. I don't even want to be able to be compared to anything else. Mm-hmm. I want to be on my own, in my own planet, if that makes any sense. And I think, like, you have to think spiritually about what you do in order to be that. You have to think religiously about what you do in order to be that. You have to give so much of a fuck about the artistic integrity. One of Andrei Tarkovsky's quotes is like, to him, like, art is preparing yourself for death. And
absolutely.
That's such a crazy way to think about it. How
often are you thinking of death and life and all of that? Probably constantly throughout the day.
Yeah. But this, so the most recent of his films that I watched, it keeps sticking with me because of exactly what we were just talking about, where it's like the film is have you seen any of Bergman's movies? Okay, so it's kind of like an elevated scenario where it's not exactly as it seems, okay? In the sense, like a painting. The film is almost like a painting, where it's like a World War III type of thing, but it's not like that for a while, right? It's just like a day in the life type of movie. You have a character who he is, he's got this mute son, and he's not exactly, he's like an actor, and he used to be an actor, and he's not an actor anymore, and it's not anything crazy, but this guy shows up, he's got a painting. There's a little bit of conversation about like the very beginning of the movie, the first thing that he says, because all these movies are very like philosophical, they're loaded movies, right? So it starts off right away with the guy, it's a tree, and they're always like super long shots too. It's like porn, like cinema porn. Like if you just pay attention, it's like 5-minute shots. So it's this guy standing here, and there's a tree, and he's talking to the kid, the mute kid, about the tree, and it basically lays out everything for the movie for you. Matter of fact, the movie does it so fucking well because it's in the intro, and to add to all of this, like Andrei Tarkovsky, like he probably knew he was gonna die at some point during the making of this film, and he dedicated to his son, right? So it starts off with a shot of a painting, and this is where the opening credits all play out on, and then the credits end, and the shot starts to pan up, and it's a tree of life, okay? And then it cuts to the guy next to the tree with the kid, and he's talking to the kid about like, he's just kind of bullshitting, and he just says like, I wonder if, because every day you got to come out here, you got to plant a seed for this tree. That's how this tree grows. Every single day you have to come out here, you got to water it. That's how you plant a seed. And he says, like, I wonder if it's as simple as that, if everything is as simple as that, and you can make a difference just like that, just by every day, just planting a seed and just watering it every day. And I wonder if everything could be that simple. And then, the movie goes all these different directions. And I wouldn't even try to describe exactly what the movie is because it's impossible to.
Well, but right there even is just talking. It's an analogy about sticking to something.
Yeah.
And that even something as simple as what you're doing, there's times when I'm sure you get overwhelmed or things you overcomplicate things and get in your own way. I mean, that's how I am. So I would imagine you're like that. Maybe you're not.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like the simple things like getting up, making your bed, just simple maintenance. Going out in the yard, putting the seed in the soil and watering it.
Yeah.
Just keeping the consistency of maintenance.
Yes. So, okay. So then this film gets into this elevated scenario where it's like World War III, bombs are going to drop. The character is like, our main character is now freaking out. He's not sure what he should do. And so it's like halfway through the film, like at the exact midpoint, he's just breaking down. He's praying to God. He says, God, if you change all of this, if I can go back to my regular life, I'll give up everything. I'll give up everything. I'll give up everything I've ever had. I'll be a mute. I'll give up my home. I'll give up my possessions. If everything could just go back to the way it was, I'll give up everything. If only I could be back just the way it was yesterday, And so he says all this, and this is all dreamlike in a sense that you can kind of feel that it's an elevated scenario, right? As you watch the film, which makes it even better, right? And you get to a point where this does happen and he gets the regular reality back in some type of way, and it's unclear what was real and what wasn't. And then he burns his house in this like 7-minute shot. It's like the shot of the film. They burn an entire house. Wow. And it's like a whole thing. And then he gets taken away in an ambulance. Yeah, so basically it's like, and the philosophical message of that. Well, okay. So the cut to the very last thing now, right? Where it's the kid that we saw at the very beginning next to that tree, watering the tree again as the dad is carried away in the ambulance. And the kid finally speaks. The mute kid who never spoke the whole movie just says, in the beginning, there was the word. It says, in the beginning, there was the word. And then the shot slowly pans up in the same exact way that it did when it came off of the opening intro, where it's going up the tree.
A nice book end like that.
It's fucking perfect.
I love that kind of stuff.
He's the best filmmaker of all time. I'm telling you, he's my favorite of all time. He's the best.
I love it.
What it does in that is it communicates anything you want it to. But in my mind, it's like, whether or not any of it was real, it could have all been fake. It could have all been an illusion in this guy's mind. But it doesn't even matter if it was an illusion. It still made the difference. And in the beginning of the movie, they tell you life is all about planting seeds. So every day you're planting a seed. And so it's the seed that he's planting with that sacrifice. The movie's called The Sacrifice. So he sacrifices everything at the end. And it's, even if it's not real, and even if it's a delusion, it's not even about that. It's about like the intention of the sacrifice and giving yourself to God in that sense. Like having that faith.
I mean, I love biblical stories like that because I'm not a religious man. I'm a very spiritual
And
man.
I don't even think you have to be religious to think in that way. I'm not religious
You
either.
have to have a human soul.
Yeah.
And be connected to it.
Yeah.
Because there's some folks that want to abandon the idea of the soul and any intangible part of themselves. And
I think that's like...
You're selling yourself short.
Yeah. Well, it's like what I was saying earlier about magic and that childlike wonder.
Yes.
I think you have to believe in the soul to have that, you know?
Yeah. And you need that to create art, any kind of art, whether if it's a painting or a movie or clay, sculpting, or, you know, and then all these different ways that people are finding to paint. They cover the ball and it's on a string and then they swirl it around, or they just cover their hands in paint and they throw the paint at it and it looks like an abstract thing. It's people, I think, you know, everybody thinking outside the box right now means that we're on the crux of this big revolution in the world of art.
I think so.
And how we're able to market ourselves, how we're able to produce our own. We live in a world where we could produce our own content.
Yeah.
You know, 20 years ago, I would never have had my own VHS tape. I would have never have been, we would have never shot a movie the way we did. The lighting would have been too expensive. The cameras would have been too expensive to really get it to look the way, in order for it to look the right way. But
yeah,
we're also not just kids fucking around with a H.A.T camera anymore.
And I think like it's, you know, it's easy to harp on the negative aspects of modern life, but the big positive is that opportunity is literally at your fingertips at all times.
It's what you make of it, and you have to make your own opportunities.
And the truth of it is, opportunity comes from constant hard work and making your imagination become
planting the seed
real.
And watering
planting that seed and watering
you were saying.
Just as I was saying, yeah, and the power of your word, right? Because I mean, the reason I even got on all
that's kind of been the whole theme of our entire discussion today is the power of the word.
Yeah,
and what really resonated and what will stick with me forever from our conversation is how you were saying that you could criticize somebody or tell somebody something in a moment when they've done something that, you know, you find to not be just, and then you're like, hey, you can tell them like this, and you could call them out on it, or you can be spiritual about it and tell them how you feel and the way that what they've done has affected you, and then see if that changes their behavior. And it's like that requires a large amount of patience, and it's so funny that neither of us are religious guys, because these are the fundamental pillars of organized religion.
I think it's a chicken or the egg. Like I think that the morals might come before everything else.
Well, and
it could be the case that maybe being a good person is deeper than religion, you know?
I think really truly what happened is because, you know, you're talking about the Bible, which what is technically the first book ever written? Is that like kind of how people think of it?
Before that, I mean, the first story ever is the book of... I know it's not the Mesopotamians, but the Sumerians, I believe. Like, there's the Book of Sumer or something.
Is that a variation of the story of Jesus?
It's all the same story.
So that first book, this is just my like my private belief. Like, you know, if it was in my phone on my search history, I would delete it every time so nobody knew that I felt this way. But it's just like deep down, you know, to my core. I truly believe organized religion started way back when. And this Jesus guy that everybody's been talking about, maybe his name was Jesus, who knows? But some guy went and tripped real hard on shrooms. Because I'm not saying everybody should be doing drugs. You know, when there's a moment.
Have you ever heard the thing about the burning bush, though? The burning bush was a mushroom or LSD.
And there's all of those analogies in the Bible. It's all right there if you've experienced it. It's like, as a kid, I hated the Bible, reading the Bible. I hated the verses. I hated the stories. They didn't quite connect to my soul, to my bones. It didn't hit me inside. Once I was able to experiment and reach these points of, divine intervention, if you want to call it that, on aggressive mushroom trip, I was able to, it all made sense to me finally.
Now I know why you and I are so similar.
There was clarification. Were you raised religiously? Did you have to go to church as a kid?
Not that part, no. But the mushrooms, for sure.
You had this revelation of what all of those things mean.
Yeah.
And so once I had that knowledge, I was able to change my perspective on what it was that I was trying to say, because I was like, I have this message and I've always come across as such a hothead, or, that I could fire off at any time. And really it's like, that is just kind of a product of my environment. And now that I've changed my environment for such a long time, I bring that energy with me. I bring that lack of judgment, and it's like everybody's going through something, and it's so ubiquitous now. Mental health, the awareness, suicide prevention, it's all out there now. We're talking about it more. And there was one night where I went. My dad was building models in the basement, and I was staying with them, and I went down in the basement. And I fired up a joint, and I was sitting there and talking with him back and forth, and I was like, it's one of those days where you kind of just wish you could kill yourself. And he was like, don't ever say that. You can't ever say that. You should ever. I said, hey, if I didn't say that to you, then you should be worried, because then it's something that I can't share with you. And I don't really feel like killing myself. I just had a long day. But if we can't say that out loud, because think about how many people who are like actually suicidal, or people who are like, man, I'm on the fence. I don't know if I have, borderline personality disorder, or what kind of anxiety or depression it is. And I kind of wish I wasn't here. And it's like, you think if you're going to say that to somebody, like a therapist, they're going to hit the button, and then the guys are going to run out with the straitjacket, and they're going to take you away.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'd rather, and I've lost a few people to suicide that were close to me. I've lost some people to drug overdoses that were close to me. And I think that if you don't talk about those things in a way to make people who are going through them in a darker way than we are, or anybody, to give them to know that the general public is a safe landscape for them to be able to at least talk about it and mention it.
Yeah.
Because it's not something that we should be afraid to talk about. And it's a cry. We need to find out, give people tools for mental health so that they can give a cry for help that has real meaning to it. I think that because there's a stigma of hiding when you're feeling suicidal, or you're feeling like you really are hopeless or worthless, you don't want to talk about that or share that with people. Write those ideas down. Just from my experience, I've never been suicidal, never thought about taking my own life, but I've definitely been in deep, dark, depressed moments. I deal with anxiety all day, every day, and there's different things that might make me feel a certain way, but I don't believe in triggers. I don't believe in safe spaces, because if we create a safe space, that implies that everywhere else isn't safe. And I think that I want to focus on making everybody feel safe, no matter what room I'm in. And I think kind of like what you've been saying is the word, and focusing on small communities rather than about what's going on 1,000 miles away or 2,000 miles away. That's all a distraction from what's going on in your backyard. And really, we should be talking to our neighbors more, and we should be looking up when we're walking our dog and when we're walking to the train. When I'm in the city, I've made it a point to be looking up and just to make eye contact with somebody and smile and point to them. And it's so surprising how I could tell the kinds of people who won't be responsive to it. And then it's so amazing to see the smile on someone's face, because then they might just go like that and smile and walk past. But then some people are like, "What's good, man? Hey, have a good day. Be safe out there." And it's just this little moment where some stranger and you connect and you're like, "Yo, it's humanity ain't what the news is saying."
Right.
And like what you said at the very beginning, you got to lead by example. I think that is 100% true, which is why you and I end up talking for 4 or 5 hours when we talk, because it's like, the conversation is here, and a lot of people are thinking of it like this, but, we start down here and then build our way up to, the surface level, because there's so much bone, nerves, muscle, tissue, skin. There's so many layers to conversation, art, and storytelling.
I think there is, if you're looking for it.
Yeah, and you are the kind of guy that is.
Because I think what I find is that people don't look for it and they assume it's not there, and then they just never find it.
And change of perspective will help them see that.
Exactly, just seeing that it's possible.
It's not hopeless for those folks though, because it's not our responsibility to take on their problems.
No.
And what'll happen is they'll get to a position in their life where they are so uncomfortable they won't help but to change.
Yeah.
Or they will not change and they'll be filled with resentment for their whole lives.
Right, yeah.
I've never cut off an interview ever in my life.
Oh, well, you got those gifts though. You got to tell me about. You got those gifts there.
Going, but I did bring you some gifts, and I would like to mention them. The first of which is our "Don't Call Me Baby" film festival exclusive VHS. We only give these out and sell them at the film festivals. So far, we're waiting to hear back from 20 more festivals. We made it into the Milwaukee Horror Film Festival, and we took home Best First Time Director, the award for it. And we got to meet and talk with Felissa Rose from Sleepaway Camp, and we're in touch with her about working with us on our next project. This is a opened copy that I signed here for Ruse because he's such a great entertainer and I respect him so much. But there are sealed copies in thrift stores between New York, LA, Chicago, and Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Austin, Texas. There are 12 tapes that are scattered throughout the country. Inside them, we have a QR code where you can see the 4K version of the film, and it has some fun horror stickers and all that inside. I put some South Park ones in there for you because I know that you like some goofy stuff. And we're really proud of the tapes because we wanted to kind of do an ode to the old video stores and how it felt when you went into the video store and you were watching something that you're really not supposed to see. The VHSs also include like a 5-minute blooper reel that is not available anywhere else. You can check out our website, our Instagram, Warwick Motion Pictures, or my Instagram, I'll Mike Capra about it. Send us a message, and we can let you know how you can purchase one if you're not able to make it out to any of the festivals. So this is a gift for you for your collection, because I know that you are a fan of things unique, rare, and strange.
Yes, I am.
I've also brought you this T-shirt for Don't Call Me Baby. These are also on sale, and you could hit us up on Instagram for them. It's got the production company logo on the sleeve there. And, this, I just want to point it out. This red slash.
Yeah, that asterisk, or not asterisk.
Yeah, like the apostrophe.
Apostrophe,
yeah. That cost us $200. So if it was just white, it would have been just $100. But it was another $100 just to add the red thing on there. So please make sure you buy these to make up for all the money we spent on the red. But the shirts are really cool. The quality of them are excellent, heavy cotton. And I brought this for you as well. Wear it with pride. I hope to watch the film if you enjoy it, or if you don't enjoy it, give it to somebody you really hate. The tape and the shirt. Be like, hey, I really think you're gonna like this, and then hand that off to them.
I would never do that. I would just pretend I like it and keep it in here anyway.
I really appreciate your transparency on that. And finally, the last thing is the Capra Brothers Band released their first live album last year or earlier this year. We have our second live album coming up right now. This is the Purple Edition. There's only 2 or 3 limited editions of each color. These are on digital vinyl, and these are also going to be in thrift stores and Goodwills and other places that you could find media. These are slid in, and you could check our Instagram page for the pictures and the locations of where those are at. And there's a lot of gifts, and maybe even a couple bucks. If something is sealed, there might even be a $20 bill on one of them. Whoa. If you find them, reach out to us and let us know, because we'd like to give you an additional gift, either from the boys and I in the band, or the crew and I from Warwick Motion Pictures. These hats are also for sale. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I gotta get a close-up.
Yeah.
Gotta get the close-up. Feel like it'd be a crime not to. You seeing this, folks? You seeing this? Check this out here, huh? Look at that bad boy. Look at that bad boy.
Thank you so much, man.
No problem. Oh, have you opened? Oh.
An appreciator.
I've never opened a VHS before. Can you believe that? Here you go. There it is. Showing my age. Mature audiences. NCA 17. Okay, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, nothing. No interruption. I brought them for you because you have a work ethic where you just constantly grind. You're never stop. If there's any way that I could ever help you, I'm always here for you. I definitely have written material for you to be an actor eventually when we get to that point. So I'm definitely going to stop by when the next picture comes out, and you're always fun to talk to. I'll make sure that I'm on time next time so that we don't cut it short.
Oh, it's no big deal. I mean, you got like 5 words for the kids, my core audience, the 3 to 5 year olds. You got just 5 words you can give them, just a little tiny nugget of advice, just a little piece. We gave them a lot of advice. I mean, just a little piece.
Be your humble, authentic truth. And that's a hat. Always wear your hat. Your humble, authentic truth.
Be your hat.
Always wear your hat. Your humble, authentic truth.
Always wear your humble, authentic truth. Wow, you're a gold mine. I just stepped on you.
No way, man. You spit shine the coins and you make them look better. You give people like me a platform to be able to talk about the shit that I create. People normally don't care about it or give a shit, and not only do you invest yourself fully into the conversation and elaborate on it and give us personal insight onto your life, but you're an excellent conversationalist, and you wouldn't have this many episodes in if you were doing it wrong.
Well, let me tell you, sir. I mean, I appreciate all those kind words, but it takes 2 to tango, and like the amazing cinematic masterpiece Drill Bit Taylor once taught me, you can't polish a turd.
No.
Okay?
No.
So it's people like you that keep this show afloat. You know?
Oh, I appreciate that very
the
much.
appreciation is bouncing back and forth like a boomerang.
Hey,
you know?
good. And that's how
thanks
it
for the
should
gifts.
be.
I always love when people bring me shit.
Absolutely.
I mean, really.
Yeah,
You
enjoy
see,
it in
next
good
time he's
health.
gonna bring me a whole record player. This guy.
Yeah. Next
He'll
time
bring
I
his
am.
record.
A turntable and a couple 45s and a vinyl. I'm gonna get him set up. You should see his book collection. We're gonna get him set up into the vinyl next.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the catalyst for your vinyl addiction, so that
That's when the second room shows up.
Yeah.
In the
'Cause
vinyl
then I'm
room.
gonna come in one day and then this whole wall's gonna be covered in vinyl, and I want to be like, I was here when he had no vinyl.
That was me.
Yeah.
I did that.
So-
And then social media, where people find you.
You can find me on Instagram, all Mike Capra about it. You can find my YouTube channel, Mike Capra, and then you can also find me at Warwick Motion Pictures on Instagram and on YouTube. check out the 4K version of our short film, Don't Call Me Baby. It's streaming now on YouTube, and we're in the midst of getting the paperwork ironed out to get it distributed on Tubi and Amazon Prime. And then we are currently working on our first feature film that we'll be shooting this September. So the next time that I come by with the record player, we'll be done shooting that, and we'll be able to talk about all that. That'll be a lot of fun.
And that's just, I imagine you know all the secret details you can't tell me right now. You know?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, we're not talking about the story at all. We're just throwing the word out that we're working hard and that we're waiting to hear back for because Don't Call Me Baby has 20 festivals to hear back from still, and if we won an award at the first one, we got accepted into the second one. We submitted to London, Ontario, Canada. They accepted it. We didn't take home any awards, but we're starting to expand into an international audience, if you could say Canada's international, if you want. But we're waiting to hear back from Tokyo, which is who we think is kind of going to be our big market for this. They like the American blood splatter stuff. So we're waiting to hear back from them, and so the next time I talk to you, I should have a lot of really good updates for you.
Awesome, man. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. I mean, always a pleasure.
Yeah, it's always so much fun. Thank you for having me on, and thank you for being so quick with responding, and the way you produce is just like, it's unmatched. So keep up the great work. It's so fun watching what you do, and I can't wait to see you next time.
To hear all that, guys, from one MC to another.
That's right.
And with all that being said, boys and girls, that's been all here today on Ruse Radio. Clocking out. Double down, competition couldn't help him to rock. Missed the whole time, holy fell through the flock. That's an ordinary miracle, wealth to the block. It's a balance in the character, this calm and collect. It's apparent his caricature is lost in the mess.